skip to my MMA.
You know, that's a good question. They just enough. That Usman and Till is official, right? December. Usman, that's official, right? All right. So yeah, that's official for the 14th of December. So I don't know. We'll see. Haven't heard nothing yet. I'm pretty sure since they locked their fight in, they're gonna come at me with something. There's not very many other options. So kind of got to narrow down in my mind who they want me to fight. Who else? What other question? I can put my toss again. You want to get back out there. This one says, look at the thing I pinned. What's the secret to a good... And once I get my belt back, there's definitely a fight I want to have. I think the fans will be excited for that one. He's done so much in that division. By the time I get my belt back, he probably wiped out 2 or 3 more people. So he may be looking for a new challenge. So at that point, yeah, I'm with it, 100%.
Like?
We have to wait and see. It's a good fight, even matchup. One person's better at striking. One person has more volume, conditioning. One person is a better scrambler. Usman's a better scrambler.
Looking sharp there.
I would say Kobe's a better grinder, so it just depends on where the fight goes. If he stays on the feet in the open, I think Usman walks away with it. Because against the octagon and on the ground, I think it's pretty even. I think Kobe could maybe walk away, but again, he's fighting against the champion, so he had to go out there and make it real obvious that he won. So I don't know if he can do that. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I just want to fight both of them.
You know, it's interesting regarding Jon Jones. I feel like Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou are the biggest losers of this Daniel Cormier news story, right? Because had DC won, they were probably going to, do the third fight, or at least try to do the third fight between DC and Jones. And then he loses, and then Jon starts talking about, oh, hey, I've got something big in the works. It was a fight against Stipe that he wanted. Now both those things are off the table. And if DC beats Stipe, then he vacates the title. And now there's no big fight there. And then, of course, Francis was very close to, potentially fighting for the belt if DC wasn't on the table and if there was no Jon Jones. So here's the idea that I'm going to throw out. Why doesn't Jon Jones fight Francis Ngannou? Why doesn't Jon Jones do what Anderson Silva did when he tested the waters against Forrest Griffin and against James Irvin? There's no one at 205 that's quite ready for Jon yet. Maybe that changes after the Weidman Dominic Reyes fight on October 18th. Why don't they do Jon Jones Francis Ngannou as a featured heavyweight fight? What do you think?
I mean, I would love to see that fight. It would be
Could you imagine?
Really interesting clash of styles. Francis Ngannou is a very, very large man.
just wanted to say thank you for all the love. Everybody's sending positive thoughts for my injury. And if you don't know, I have been injured and I cannot fight in Australia. Something that is super heavy on my heart and I'm super bummed out about. Go through a whole training camp and not be able to make it to the fight. And not just for me, this is a training camp for Raquel Pennington as well, my opponent who I have a lot of respect for. And I don't know the scientific terms, but the ligament or the tendon that attaches my hamstring to my bone, I tore 30% of it this last week in training. And the good news is I don't need surgery, but it's just not 1 week's not enough time to be ready to fight. So I'll be rehabbing it and be back at it soon, and I will let you guys know when we get this fight rescheduled. Thanks again for all the love.
So apparently Colby was shouting something at Stipe's wife. I don't know what it was, but now Stipe wants to have a word with him because he's not happy. So basically, Colby Covington is going around upsetting everybody right now. Harrington, we got any details?
Yeah, apparently Stipe's trainer and best friend got in Colby's face and shut him down while he was screaming obscenities at his wife. The trainer will not detail what Colby was saying, but Stipe says he's going to get it out of him, and he just wants to have a conversation with Colby. It's not going to be anything crazy, but he does want to have a conversation with him.
Oh, yeah, so he just wants to have a word. Anytime somebody says, I just want to have a word, I just want to talk to him. Listen, you can read into that, I just want to have a conversation, which I'm sure he just wants to have a conversation. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a nice conversation. It could just be some threats, which is what it would be for me. If you scream at my wife while I'm fighting and you talk shit and you're swearing at her and you're disrespecting her, I'm not going to have anything nice to say to that person.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. I mean, we hear this about Colby that, he's just trolling and whatever, but it's at what point does trolling become truly dangerous? I mean, Stipe Miocic is a big motherfucker and he's the pound for pound, literally pound for pound, the toughest man in the world, maybe. I mean, I guess there's a couple guys out there that could give him a run for his money, but debatably the toughest person to beat in a fight in the world. Okay. It seems like a little bit of an uphill battle for Colby Covington. Is there any history between a beef between those guys, or is Colby just trying to fucking get his name in headlines anywhere possible?
Not as I know, but that isn't trolling. That isn't trolling. There's no Twitter. There's no people around. There was no cameras on. It wasn't for Facebook. It was nothing like that. He wasn't doing an Instagram live, right? That's just being disrespectful to somebody's wife that's fighting. And when my wife would be in the arena when I was fighting, she'd be a bag of nerves. Just like anybody's wife, loved one, partner, whatever it is, they're going to be going through an emotional roller coaster when that fight is happening. And the last thing you need is some dickhead shouting obscenities, getting in your face and making you feel even worse. So I don't know what's going on there, but it's a very, very curious thing that Colby's doing there. Why on earth would you do that?
Do you think it's a good move?
Guy.
Do you think it's a good move that his manager won't tell him what he said?
Well, if that's the case, is that what happened? So
yeah, his manager heard.
Yeah, so I'll read this. Stipe's manager apparently told Colby to shut the fuck up, but won't tell Stipe what Colby said. Right, well, that's not good, is it? There's a reason why he won't tell Stipe what he said. That obviously alludes to the fact that it was offensive, it was disrespectful, it was just out of line. So I don't know if I believe that. If my manager came to me and said, so Mike, Colby was talking to Rebecca while she was fighting, and he was screaming at her. And I told him to shut the fuck up. And I said, oh, really? What did he say? And he said, I'm not going to tell you. I'd say, well, you better tell me now or you're fired. Simple as that. You're my manager. I want to know what the fuck he said. And none of this, I'm protecting you, buddy. I'm protecting you. I know you've got a bad temper. It's best that you not know. Come on, don't tell me that Stipe doesn't know. Don't tell me he didn't go home to his wife that night and say, so my manager won't tell me, okay? So now I'd like you to tell me what was said, because his wife's going to tell him. So I don't know. I'm not believing everything I hear from this story.